Hello, welcome to my channel. My name's Michelle and I'm a beauty treasure hunter. And today I have several treasures for you, and one of them will make your life easier if you are ever traveling. You'll be able to take a lot less with you. So if you'd like to see how I got this look, just keep watching. Okay, let's rock and roll. I have already put on my Biore Watery Essence Sunscreen. Now I'm going to go in and mix some darker sunscreen, this CeraVe. I looked that up. I looked up how to say it. The Cera part stands for ceramides. That's the vehicle, and that's what the V stands for. So interesting. This one's the deep, so I like to use it kind of as a bronzer. Here's what it looks like. And I'm going to add to that some NARS Radiance Primer. And I got this at Marshall's. It was on the clearance, and it had already been squirted out. But here's what I do. I bring them home. But see, it was only $5. It had been quite a bit more, maybe 15. I bring them home. I squirt out a little bit more and clean everything with either hypochlorous acid or rubbing alcohol. And then it's as good as new. So I'm going to mix those two together. I'm going to come down my neck just a little bit. And I've already kind of bronzed up my décolletage. There, I made too much, daggone. Okay, now one of my bargains from a couple of weeks ago were one of every kind of these CoverGirl primers, and I got them for like 99 cents. And so this one is the Velvet Blur, and I'm gonna just put that on the areas that I would like to have blurred. Wow, that feels fantastic. That is so nice and soft. I don't think I've ever felt anything that soft as far as primers go. I'm gonna put it in all of my wrinkles too. Okay, even if that doesn't blur, it's worth just feeling it. It's worth the experience. Right, recently, Danessa Myrex had like an anniversary sale, and everything was, not everything, certain things were 40% off. So I got this Groundwork Blooming Romance palette. It's the one that has creams and powders. And you can use these all over your face. So I'm going to use the lightest pink. And by the way, when they would show these and use them, I've seen other artists use these. I thought that the bigger section was the powder and the smaller was the cream, but it's the reverse. So I'm going to be using this cream with my eyelids as a primer. And it's kind of got like a squishy pillow consistency. And I just like to make sure that things hide my veins that show through on my eyelids. That did a pretty good job. Can you tell the difference? Okay, now I'm going to use one of my Dollar Tree brushes. This one's by Sassy Chic, and it's a dual end. It's got a really nice thin pencil brush, and love this. And the other end's just a regular crease brush, but I'm going to use it to do this lightest pink all over the lid now. And this was my first order from Danessa Myrex, and I went straight to her site for it to get the anniversary sale prices. I have seen her do someone else's makeup and just fell in love with her. She is such a sweetheart. So I was so excited to get this when that package arrived. Now I think I'll do this rosy shade next. And it's called Allure. The first one was called Crush. So I'm going to do the powder. I'm going to save the cream as my blush, I think. That blended out very easily. Okay, now I'm going to go a little bit darker to the shade Bliss. It's because I do not have a terribly expensive camera. I did want the 4K resolution, and my laptop did not have that on the webcam, so I bought a standalone webcam that would do that resolution. So okay, I'm going to put that underneath as well. I'm going to use the pencil brush side, still going into Bliss. Okay, now I'm going to try a darker brown. This one's called Evermore. You know, I always have to have some sparkle. And this is all like mattes. So I'm going to get my sparkle from a Beauty Creations shadow. This came in a 3-pack and it was like $5.99, but these are wonderful shadow toppers. And I think I'm going to use, there's one that's in that shade range. These are so cool because the top totally comes off. It's magnetic. And I just like to dab, dab, dab. Look at that payoff. So technically, each one of these shadows was $2. And Beauty Creations is the brand. And some of the brands that you'll find, the names are very similar. Like I've tried Beauty Treats before, but it's not as good as Beauty Creations, so you have to be careful. But it's like once you discover a brand that you know, hey, this is going to be quality, then you can get excited when you find something. It becomes a beauty treasure to you. Because I think sparkles hide a myriad of wrinkles. Also on sale was the Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Concealer. And I've always wanted some of this. And I think it was like $10. So I've got high end at less than drugstore cost. My shade, I guess it's just number 6. And I'm going to kind of sharpen up my edges before I blend that in. And I like to use just a baby wipe or makeup wipe. And I'm going to use a brush that I've bought several of these at the Dollar Tree. It's a little angled brush. And the ones that are in plastic packages and look like this are really good. And I got a sample of the Charlotte Tilbury Exaggerize mascara, and I'm really enjoying it on my bottom lashes. I like it when I can see my bottom lashes from far away. That's so cool. All right, now for foundation today. I'm going to use Super Serum Silk, not concealer, foundation from a brand called Yinsa. And I looked this up on Amazon and it's pretty expensive, but I found mine for $6.99 at TJ Maxx. And I think both of these shades are kind of light. So here's what I'm gonna do. Here's the consistency, it's pretty runny. And another Danessa Myricks purchase that I made was this Vision Cream Cover. And I guessed wrong, and it's a little dark. This was like number 7, that looks like. So I'm gonna mix those two together. And I'll make sure it's not too warm of a color after I mix. If you ever do any mixing, or if you've got a foundation and you think, ooh, this is just too warm for me, pulls too orangey, if you will add lavender. And the brighter the lavender, the better. I love, this is my favorite, the Physicians Formula color corrector, and it's in lavender. But it's pretty bright. Let me show you. On. That's the color. And if you mix that in, it makes things pull more toward the pink side of things rather than the orangey side. So now it looks better, I think. And I'm going to use my fingers at first, and then if I need to take up some excess with a damp sponge, I can. And I've decided that foundation, it's really not about matching your exact color of skin. It's about finding the color that you like. I have found that I like darker ones. I like for them to make me look like I have a tan when I don't, because I will never be able to have a tan again. I've had melanoma twice. I have to go to the dermatologist every 3 months now. Back to that. And I can pretty much pick out, you know, from pictures, especially if they're like real swatches on someone's arm, I can tell you which one I think would be that I would prefer the most. I like a neutral to pinky tone. And some lines don't even have that. I have found though that Korean ones usually always do have something that I like. This is a spot that I had some liquid nitrogen sprayed on the other day. It is just one of those seborrheic keratoses. Those seem to pop up a lot lately on me. But you shouldn't ever assume that a spot is okay. You should always get it checked. Okay, I am going to go get my dampened sponge. And I'm going to stick to trying to do everything with the Groundwork Blooming Romance palette. So I'm going to try to do my brows. I'm going to take an angled brush and I'm going to go into, I think, the darkest one. And I did dye my brows this week, so I don't have any grays showing through, so this is doing the job well enough. But I do need to tame them a little bit. So I'm going to use my Catrice Brow Sleek. Kind of reminds me of my e.l.f. brow gel. I don't see any creasing on my concealer, so I'm going to use my LA Girl H2O Lock powder and my Flower Beauty brush that is this shape. It's nice and fluffy. Oh, this feels so good. It's like water. All right, now I'm going to try to do some contouring, and I'm going to use this shade right here. And I just dabbed in very lightly. So the fact that these are squishy and not insanely pigmented helps. I didn't want to pick up too much. That was just right. And the fact that it is kind of a smaller thing to dip into is a bit of a challenge, but I'm able to do it. So if this all works out, this will be a fabulous palette for me to travel with. Okay, now I'm going to use my dense Moda brush that's like a bigger kitten paw. It's kind of a medium sized. And I'm going to use the shade Bliss. cream as my blush. And you would think having some of the same color as my eyeshadow would kind of tie this all together nicely. Okay, now I'm going to use one of my angled fluffy brushes. And this is where it's really going to be kind of tricky. I'm going to try to go in and get, let's see, a little bit of Allure. And remember, the powders are the smaller sections. Just to set that down a little bit. Okay, so far so good. Okay, since this is so small, I can't use my giant bronzer brush, so I'm going to use a smaller one. And I'm going to use Evermore, this one right here, the powder, as a little bit of bronzer, just to set down what I've already done. I think I'm done with the palette. Okay, I'm going to try a Be Pure lip stain. This is the darker of the two that were in my store. And it's just not very wet, and I've had it stored upside down. Let me see if it pushes in. Oh, it does push in. Oh no, it won't come back out. Hey, that really worked though. It started running. So I love the color, but now I'm gonna have to get a straight pin or safety pin and stab it in there and pull it back out. All right, but here's the shade and I can't get that off now. The two La Mercerie lippies that I'm gonna do are pretty dark. So I'm gonna do this La Mercerie Perfect Hydration Lip Gloss in the tube. And that is just wonderful. And now I'm gonna try, this one's like the cushy one, more velvety. And they only had one color and it was pretty dark. And I'm gonna try this one now. I can't remember if it's more like a gloss or a liquid lip. Ooh, look at that. That is, I'm gonna have to be careful. Okay, I think I'm gonna blot that. And that leaves behind a nice color. I like it. I'm also gonna go in, I really loved this. It's an LA Colors Sculpting Duo. It's got a cream on the top highlighter and then a powder one on the bottom. And they're both really nice colors. I like a more flat brush to do powder highlight with. I'm gonna do some cream with my finger. And now I want to tell you why this Wet n Wild pink powder is not my number one spot anymore. This really does blur, but I have noticed when I put it on, I get really super dry. So if you don't like that feeling of super dryness, you might not like it. But it looks great. However, this About Face pink powder, it's like the best of both worlds. It blurs, but it doesn't completely dry you out. So it's got the little mesh thing. Sometimes I turn it up and get it on my puff and press. And if you feel like you've gotten too much highlighter or too much blush, you can always do this very last and tone everything down. I think I can do it without going in with my giant brush and bronzing everywhere. Okay, I'm gonna use some Hard Candy Look On Lock. It has a nice mister. And that has no scent. So this is my final look for the day. I did all the color things on my complexion with the Danessa Myricks Blooming Romance palette. and I got it for like 40% off, so I was thrilled. This is a beauty treasure for me. I'll definitely be able to travel with it and take less with me. Um, and everything else I think was a thumbs up. Yeah. So thank you for watching today. If you found me, you're one of the very first ones, so please like and subscribe and share. And thank you for spending this time with me. And I hope that the time we spent took your mind off of the cares of the world for just a little while. And I hope you see me next time. My hair is falling out.